Please welcome to the stage Figma co-founder and CEO, Dylan Field.
Hello, Config! Welcome to Config 2025! And a huge, huge thank you to everyone who came out, especially from far away. Also, hello to the 106 Friends of Figma watch parties around the globe. Now, if you're joining virtually, or if you're here in real life and you've got major session FOMO, don't worry. Almost all the talks will be recorded, and afterwards we'll be posting them on YouTube, which will be probably my next 6 months of Netflix replacement. We have an incredible lineup of speakers today. Whether you want to hear from Helena about doing design with soul, or you want to hear from Jeremy about crafting the dystopian world of Severance, we've got something for you. I have not seen Severance yet. We've been pretty busy with demo prep. But I hear everyone here is excited to meet Jeremy Zowdy, whatever that means. We also have a couple of unique experiences with some customers. So if you get overwhelmed at any point, I'm told I can't do this during the demo, but you're welcome to go to the Headspace Recharge Lounge. And if you want to capture the moment with your new friends at Config, feel free to head over to Polaroid's Analog Corner and take a selfie. This week, we are live from San Francisco. Next week, we'll be on the road in London. And there will be some incredible speakers joining us there, too. So I hope to see some of you there. And speaking of London, last year, we made big strides to meet our users where they're at. We launched Figma's UI in Spanish. And just a few weeks ago, we launched Korean. E agora o Figma fala Portuguese. And today, we're so happy to announce the Figma UI is now available in Brazilian Portuguese. And in addition to rolling out these new languages, we've been very busy on the product front. Like you, we care about all of the details. And so, since the beginning of 2025, just over the last few months alone, we've shipped 56 updates, including smart symbols on all fonts, copy and duplicate styles, collapsible layers in the layer panel, annotations in Figma Design, plus annotation categories, accessibility contrast information in the color picker. We got some Ally fans. A new AI feature, Edit Image, powered by GPT Image 1. Super resolution. And of course, locked aspect ratio. As you're about to see, our pace is only increasing. Today we have 4 products: FigJam, Slides, Figma Design, Dev Mode. In a moment, our team is going to come up and share 4 new products. Plus, an exciting addition to Figma Design. But before I do, I want to share some updates about the work we're doing under the hood as well. Because we know it's super important that Figma always loads fast. It feels snappy and works exactly as you expect. This is not always the case, especially with larger files. And last year, we saw all of you going even bigger than ever in Figma. Average file size went up 18%. Wow. We've been hard at work optimizing these large files for everyday actions like copy-paste, selecting layers, switching pages, panning, and zooming. Large images and complex effects cause a lot of issues with performance. So what we've done is we've worked very hard on decreasing our memory footprint using intelligent caching so that Figma can keep feeling fast. We're also now progressively loading prototypes and pages and files. And for our slowest files in Figma, that group of files has resulted in a 33% decrease in load times. We're also working on a massive rewrite of our design systems architecture. When this ships early next year, we should see faster instance updating and a more responsive overall editing experience. You're going to hear about a lot of new features and new surfaces in Figma today. But please, please know that we're working just as hard to make sure that we keep up with the quality and the performance that you expect. Because at the end of the day, we don't want your focus to be on Figma. One of our foundational principles from the start of Figma has been that Figma needs to get out of your way. We want to make sure that you're able to do your best work and not get distracted by us. And this is particularly important in today's world, where the role of design is even more expansive than ever. Design is not just a step in the process, but rather is now the process itself. Design is more than just pushing pixels. Design is leading with curiosity. It's asking and re-asking, what if? It's obsessing over the details. It's chasing a feeling, and it's pushing what's possible. In a world where AI makes it easier than ever to build software, design is becoming more essential and more powerful. It's craft, it's quality, it's point of view that makes a product stand out and be loved. Our goal with today's launches is to help you all explore even more ideas and help you go from idea to product as fast as possible. And for this year's keynote, I want to give a special thank you to Koto Studio. Almost all of the demo examples that you're going to see are from their amazing portfolio. And without further ado, let's get into our first announcement of the day. This update is something that we, all of us, care deeply about. And that is layout. To walk us through this first launch, please welcome Figma designer Giorgio Caviglia to the stage. Rocket man, you got this.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Woo. I'm so happy to be here today on stage because I get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, you guessed it, layout. You see, I spend a lot of time at Figma thinking about layout. And as a result, I have this kind of weird theories and ideas about it. Like, for example, that layout is a bit like the dark matter of our designs. I know I told you weird ideas. Now, if you think about it, layout is a bit like a gravitational force that you can never see, but is always there to make sure that things stay in place. Now, raise your hand if you know where this is from. I see a bunch of old folks like myself. Cool, cool. Well, if you don't, well, if you were a kid in the mid-90s and you had internet access, this is where you will hang out. This is the website for the first Space Jam movie back in 1996. And at the time, this was the peak of web design. And honestly, it looks pretty cool to me still now. Now, if we take a look at the layout behind this masterpiece, we will see that even if it's not immediately clear, it's actually built using a grid. Sure, not CSS grid, there was no such thing back then, but still, a grid nonetheless. Because you see, regardless of the technology and the media, grid layouts have been there as a fundamental tools for designers since forever. Even before print existed, even before designers as ourselves existed. And you might have heard that in the 60s, we kind of started getting a little bit, just a little bit, obsessed with grid. And we use it everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Like from typefaces to exhibitions. We use grid so much that at some point, we got tired of it, and we kind of rejected it. And we learned how to break the grid. But you see, the funny thing is, even when you break the grid, there is still a grid to begin with, kind of confirming how important for us designers it is. And this is true, still very true today, because grid layouts are used, again, pretty much everywhere, in our mobile apps and, of course, on the web, where CSS grid has become a standard to create reusable and beautiful websites. Now, in Figma, you might have heard of this thing called auto layouts. Anyone? Which is awesome to create reusable and flexible designs and components. But when you use it to create two-dimensional layouts like this one, things start to get a little bit messy. Because you now need to create containers just for your containers, and you end up with a lot of pretty nasty nestings. And the next person that opens your file, they will spend 10 minutes just to understand what the hell you did. But things are about to change, because today I'm very, very excited to introduce a brand new auto layout option for grid. OK, enough talk. Let's see grid in action. For this demo, I'm going to use Kodos Design for Flus, an app that helps shoppers earn cashback. Now, I've heard that bento boxes are pretty hot now, so why don't we start there? And we will create one to introduce Flus brand identity. I have my frame here, and if you follow me here on the side, you can see that we changed things a little bit in the properties panel. But don't worry, everything is still there. We have vertical layout, horizontal layout. Wrap is here, by the way. And if I click now on grid, we'll see that, by default, a 2x2 grid gets applied. But I can click here and change it to any size very easily. Now, I hope you enjoy using this little component as much as I enjoyed designing it and our engineers hated building it. True story. OK, I'm happy with the 8x4. And of course, here I can change the gaps. Let's do it maybe 20 and 20. And if I go here on the canvas, I can resize the paddings. Awesome. Now that I have my grid set up, let's drag some items in it. I can select multiple items, simply drag it, and boom. Now, a couple of things I want to highlight here is that the first one is that items automatically span multiple columns and rows according to their size. So you don't have to do that. The second one is that they also fill the cells. So that means that by default, this is already a responsive design. But of course, I can change span anytime I want. And we want to make this very easy and intuitive. And the way you do it is just drag in. And as you can see, as I do this field now tells me how many columns and rows an item occupies. And I can do, of course, the same here. Nice. You can do it. OK, let's continue. Let's have this item here. Nice. Now, in Grid, if I realize that I need to move things around, it's pretty simple. I can select an item, drag it, and drop it. And everything after it will reflow automatically. Now, one more thing about resizing is that in Grid, I can resize every column or rows individually. So I can click an item. It tells me which columns it occupies. I can click here. By default, every column or rows are set to auto, which you can think about it like fill the available space. I can click it now and resize it. And now I can control very precisely, or I can even type in here. OK. Now, this Flues brand has a lot of these overlay objects, and I have this nice bird here that would be awesome to put inside the grid. So let's see if there is a way to make it fly inside. And what I'm doing now is pressing Control, and I can put item still in the grid, but absolute position, like the rest of auto layout. OK, things look pretty good here. Let's move on with the next example. I want to create here a calendar or a date picker. If you ever had to build one, you know it's not the most fun things to build. It takes a lot of time. But here, I can just drag the days of the week, and I can do this. And now I'm pressing Command. As you can see, easily I can populate the grid. And now, you probably saw this replace content suggestion coming up. This is our AI feature that is being improved. And if I click it, it automatically detects what I want to do. Thank God I don't have to insert those numbers. It will be a very long demo. Now, let me grab these and put inside my app. Now, here I want to show you that the app itself is already a grid layout. That means that, of course, I can nest grid inside other grids if I have to. OK. Now, as I mentioned before, Grid is a very flexible and powerful tool that can be used to create a variety of layouts. And let's see how Kodos did this with the Flues website. Here, we have a grid, kind of similar to the bento box. We have items here that go beyond the grid, which is nice. In this one, a simpler grid, 2 by 2, but they use a grid with other auto layout options. So just so you know, of course, you can nest all outer layouts in any combination you want. Let's continue down here. A logo wall, classic use of grid. And here, I just want to show you, remember when I mentioned breaking the grid? This is a good example of how simple things can also be very effective. So I have this design here, but if I do this, you can see that typography on the left is not too great. But in Grid, it's very simple to having items spanning and overlap others. So I can just drag this. And now I do this. Well, not quite there yet. But if 2 dimensions are not enough for you, in Grid, you can actually control the Z index. So I can press the square bracket. And now I can move items before or after. Nice. OK, lastly, I want to select this footer. And let's switch to dev mode. And here, if you follow me here on the CSS panel, as you can see, our grid layout maps already very well with CSS grid properties. Like here with the templates, the gaps, and if I select an item, you will see we have, the span as well. So in this way, grid is another step towards bridging the gap between design and real development. OK, I think that's it from me. On behalf of the whole team who worked on grid very hard in the last months, I'm very excited to be the first one to show you today. There is so much more we want to build on grid, and we can't wait for you to try it. There's also a deep dive tomorrow if you're curious to know more about grid. Having said that, thank you so much. Back to you, Dylan.
Killed it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giorgio. All right, what did y'all think of our first announcement? I know grid is something y'all have been asking for, and we are super excited about it. And it'll be in Figma Design later today. Grid is also going to be available in the next product that we're going to show you. Grid makes it easier to design products and websites. But design doesn't just stop at the mock. You have to prototype it, you got to validate it, you need to design the interactions, the animations, you need to build it, or just publish it. Dogen recently posted on X. He said, "I've been waiting for that publish button in every config for the past 5 years. It has to happen this year." And Dogen, we've got some good news for you. Because today we're excited to announce Figma Sites. Figma Sites is designed to help you go from existing design to live site quickly. And to share more, Tom, please come out. There you go. Hi. Wait, Tom.
Tom?
What are you doing?
What are you doing here?
Well, I was asked to do the demo. What are you doing here?
Dylan asked me to come out on stage.
All right, we'll do this together.
Let's do it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Giannattasio. I'm one of the leads on Figma Sites.
And I'm also Tom. I lead our advocacy team here at Figma. Now, this is my 6th config, and usually I'm behind the scenes working on the Keynote demo, so it's pretty cool to be here on stage to tell you all about what the team's been working on. Now, when I think back to the very first config, I remember one of our marquee feature launches was hyperlinks in the Figma editor. And it was a much smaller room, but an equally enthusiastic reaction. And so it's nice to fast forward to today to talk about taking your designs and deploying them and building a website directly from Figma tools. Now, Tom, I know you have a rich history, very long history, of building tools on the internet.
Yes, that's Tom's polite way of saying that I'm getting old, but he's not wrong. I have been building websites for about 30 years now. And like many of you in this room, I'm sure, I got started by building weird stuff like this on GeoCities. This is super embarrassing sharing this in front of a room full of the world's greatest designers, but this is when I fell in love with making things for the web. The idea that I could build something and share it with the world with a single click just kind of blew my mind. And I built a career, designing sites and launching them. But as a hybrid designer-developer, I always felt this disconnect between the way that I would work when I'm designing sites in my design tools and the way that I would build them with code. So about 13 years ago, I started a company called McCann with an idea of what if instead of writing code, you could actually just draw it? What if we could enable a free-form design workflow that also output usable code? This was something that I wanted for myself, but I quickly realized that I was helping people make things that they couldn't make before. And that's kind of the ultimate reward for me as a tool maker. And McCann only lasted for a few years. We all went on to build other things. That is until one of the original Kickstarter supporters reached out. Turns out he also got into building design tools. And he had this idea, right? What if we could turn Figma into a website builder? Would we be interested in doing that? And of course the answer was yes, right? We started thinking about it and realized that maybe that dream is still alive, right? So we've spent the past couple years reimagining that original vision and building it on top of the things you already love about Figma. So I'm thrilled to say that thanks to an amazing, dedicated team, Figma Sites is now a reality. Let's dive in.
All right. So we're going to start our demo here in Figma Design. I'm sure many of you today are building and conceptualizing websites in Figma, and then at some point in the process, you get everything looking just right, and then you need to take your design into other tools to build it into a working, real website. Now, that's what the team at Kodo did when they were working on this design for Kickin'. And full disclosure, if I zoom the wrong way, I'm the only one in today's demo that has to disable natural scroll. So let's just take our design here in Figma. What if we could pick up where we left off and come on over into the brand new Figma Sites editor to get started? We've got a desktop frame here, and we're just going to paste our design in. And already we can continue working on our website. But what's a website in 2025 without thinking about how that website is going to look on different devices? So a long-time request from many of you who have been building on the web has been the need for breakpoints. So very quickly, we can add our tablet and our mobile. Whoops, didn't click it. And you'll see very quickly that our design from desktop has been translated to each of the viewport sizes. And you'll see some changes where we've made some adaptations to make sure it flows properly, just the way that you'd want on mobile. Now, as you're designing your website, each page is going to have a frame for each one of the viewport sizes that you're designing for. And you may be wondering, well, what happens if I need to make an edit on one? Do I have to make it on all three sizes? Anytime you select an object in your primary breakpoint, in this case we've selected this headline, you'll see that it automatically engages Figma's multi-edit across all of those frames. So if I go in here and make an edit, we'll update this to say grow with the flow. You'll see that it makes that change across all of the breakpoints.
Nice.
And of course, you're obviously going to want to make tweaks on one device, but not the others. So when you come in and make a tweak, like maybe adjusting these headlines on mobile, you'll see that change only happens on the mobile device and doesn't cascade to all of your other viewport sizes. Now, next up, what if you could already pull in from your Figma libraries that already exist in Figma today? You can do that. Just go over to the Inserts panel, access your pre-existing libraries, and you can drag all of your components into the design to make them part of your website. Now, we're going to add this section here. That's this little thumbnail here. And I want to quickly flip into the library just to show you behind-the-scenes look at what that component looks like. This is a component set. It has 3 variants, 1 variant for each of your breakpoints. And when we come back into Figma Sites and drag this into our design, you'll see that it automatically adapts the right variant for each of the viewport sizes. All right, I'm going to set that to fill. I think this is looking good. What do you think, Tom?
I mean, I think it needs something. Let me take a stab.
Sure.
Let's add some interactions to this. And interactions work just like the prototyping tools that you're already used to. So I'm going to switch over to this interaction tab. And from here, I could start to noodle out and link pages together if I want. But I really want to show you a new feature. By zooming in here to this button, I want to add a hover effect to this. And now normally I would have to turn this into a component, create some variants, fiddle with Smart Animate. But now using a new feature called Preset Interactions, I can actually just come over here and add a hover effect. And now this is going to give me a few preset values that I could simply tweak. Let's make it get a little bit larger, and we'll change that to a nice bouncy transition. I think that's going to feel good, but let me preview this. So I'm going to hit Shift Space to open up our preview window. And here you'll see when I hover that button, I get a fun little effect. That was pretty easy. I don't want to show you the dictionary. So I want to point out a couple of things about this preview here. One is that this preview is actually responsive, not just resizable, but fully responsive. So as I shrink it down, I can see what my design looks like on tablet and mobile, all from here. And the other thing is that this is not the normal Figma preview window. This is actually HTML and CSS. So while you're working, all of your designs are being translated to code that you can actually use and publish.
Tom, I saw some other effects in there, though.
Yeah, there's some more. All right, I'll quickly add a few more. Let's see. Tom,
Parallax.
Yeah, I know parallax. I get it. I get it. I'm not going to add it to all the things like Tom loves. I'm just going to add it to this image here. We'll knock it down a little bit, and then, you know, these badges are like a very playful design. Let's just come in here. We'll add, you know, we've got all kinds of things in here. Scroll transforms, custom cursors, that's fun. But I really want to add, let's add draggable to these. We'll put a little momentum on there, and we'll just make sure that they stay inside of their parent.
Did I see a marquee effect in there? I thought they deprecated that tag.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's very good, Tom. They did, but we still love it. So let's add, whoops. Let's also just add a little typewriter effect down here. OK, now, I think that's going to look pretty good, Tom. What do you think?
Looks pretty good to me, Tom. So what good is it to do all of this work if your site remains unseen? Let's flip over here and click on the Publish button. And very quickly, Figma will check for any issues with your website. You can see our custom domain, and we'll hit Publish. Now, this is where we all cross our fingers for Moscone Wi-Fi and hope that in a few moments we get a website that's on the internet. Please, please, please. There we go. Woo! We've got our fully responsive website with our hover effects, our parallax, our draggable fun badges, our classic typewriter effect. And down here, we've even used interactive components, the way that you'd normally build them in Figma Design today. And I think that's one of the things that I'm most excited about, is that you can take all of your existing ways of working in Figma, and they directly apply to building websites in Figma Sites.
Now, we want to give a huge shout out to all of our alpha users, like Bruno Figueiredo, who launched the new Layers conference site using Figma Sites. Figma's own Story Studio, who created a custom font and specimen site in collaboration with other means, and Kia Tasbigu. And you may have heard that ReadCV is embarking on a new chapter. Well, we are working with them and Alex Einerson to build a plugin and a template to help you migrate your ReadCV right over to Figma Sites.
And we've also partnered with the fine folks at Play Studio to build out a collection of gorgeous templates. You can access these from Figma Community or from the new file dialog when you create a new website. And we think these are going to be a great resource whether you're building your first website or you just want some templates to reference as you're getting started in Figma Sites. Can you go to the next slide? So Figma Sites is launching in beta today. It'll be available to everybody that has a full seat on a paid plan, and we'll be rolling out access to starters soon. And just a note, in the future when we come out of beta, there will be some additional fees for people who have additional hosting, custom domain, or bandwidth requirements. Now, before we wrap today, we also wanted to give you a preview of what's coming next in Sites. So Tom and I are going to give you a preview of a couple of features that the team has been working hard on. Now, we know many of you are going to be building websites that are very content heavy. And of course, with that comes the need for dynamic content and also an easy way to manage them. So we're building a CMS that's directly integrated into Figma Sites, and we want to give you a preview. OK, so here we are back working on Kickin's website, and we're starting to scaffold out our blog page. And you can see here that we've got a row that's going to be representing each article that's in our blog. Now, we don't want to have to go in here and edit this content manually all the time. And the keen eyes in the audience may have noticed this little database icon over here in the left rail. And if we open that, that takes us into our CMS view. Here we can create CMS collections, define each of the properties of our article, and easily access each of the articles in the CMS to edit all of the content. And we think this focused editing experience is going to make it easy for you to bring collaborators in to just manage the content without clicking around on the canvas to edit text. Now, once you have all that content, you need to get it into the design. So we can flip over here to Connect mode, and all we have to do is select the property from our blog that we want to map to a layer on the canvas. So if we click on our title, you'll see that all the content already subs in and repeats down through all of our rows. And we can do that to our cover photo, our summary, and our date. And just like that, we've bound all of the content dynamically from our CMS. Now, over here, we have our blog article page, and we've already gone ahead and bound all the properties. But one thing that you'll notice is that we can preview each one of the entries in our CMS directly on the canvas. And if we want to make, in a situation where we want to make a quick edit, we can click on any of these objects on the canvas, and we can access that inline editor right from the canvas to make some quick changes. So we're really excited to bring CMS later on in the year, and I'm going to turn it over to Tom to give us one more preview.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's code. Sometimes you need to do something that's just more complicated than what you could do with normal design tools. Let's take a look at this example. So here, Kickin wants to add this interactive calculator to their site so that visitors can calculate their funding. They want to be able to, drag these sliders around, update the values, do all sorts of math, and have this update the estimated funding down below. That would be pretty hard to do with the point-and-click interactions, but it's a really good use case for code. And I'm excited to say that now you can use code with Figma Sites with what we call code layers. And I'll show you how to get started. First, I'm going to select this design. This is just the normal design that you would create. Auto layout's all set up in here. But I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click this new button that's called Make Code from Design. And when I click that, that's going to automatically convert all of those layers into well-structured React and Tailwind. That's pretty cool. So now I could jump in here and start adding a bunch of interactions. That's not terribly fun to watch, so I'm actually going to slide over to an example that's already built. So here's one that's built out. And in here, you'll see that the right-hand side is a live preview, so I can interact with this. I can drag these sliders around. This has all been built out. But that animation felt like it took
That's a
forever.
long animation.
Yeah. So I'm going to come over. I can just make a couple tweaks to the code here. Let's try 0.3. This is going to live update for me, and now I can play with this, and that's feeling much snappier. A couple other things just to point out while we're here. You may have noticed we're actually importing NPM modules here. There are some Figma-provided hooks so that you can expose properties for your code layers or customize your code for different breakpoints. And there's some really exciting new ways to work with code that you're going to learn about in a few minutes. So stay tuned. CMS and code layers are coming soon. Two of many of the updates that we have planned for Figma Sites. We can't wait to see what you publish. Back to you, Dylan.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Sites is the culmination of a lot of hard work from the Figma team, and it's also just the start. There's so many improvements to come. I can't wait to see what y'all do with it. I guess none of us now have an excuse for publishing our portfolio website. While Figma Sites can help you bring designs to the web, sometimes you still need other ways to bring designs to life. One of the people that inspired us to build Figma in the first place was Brett Victor. And he once said, "Ideas are very precious to me. And when I see ideas dying, it hurts. I see a tragedy. To me, it feels like a moral wrong. It feels like an injustice." So many great ideas are often left unexplored due to time, to tools, to knowledge gaps. Our next announcement aims to help you take ideas out of your head and into the real world. Today, we're excited to introduce Figma Make. With Figma Make, you can take an existing design and prompt your way to a fully coded prototype. For this demo, please welcome to the stage Holly Lee, Product Manager of Figma Make.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. Hi, config. All right. I joined Figma in January of this year as a PM on the AI team, and it's already been the adventure of a lifetime. Now, like many of you, I've been making for as long as I can remember, including today's confit. I hope you like it. Now, for work, I get to make AI products, but I'm sure we all face a lot of the same challenges. Turning a design into something real enough to validate takes a long time, and it's hard to do. So that's why we built Figma Make. With Figma Make, you can go beyond having to imagine how your design should feel and actually just experience it. So today, it's an honor to present to you all Figma Make on behalf of the superstar team behind it. We're building really rapidly, shipping new features and improvements every week. And while it's still really early, we're just so excited about all the ways Make can change how we design, iterate, and explore. So let's get into it. OK, like most makes, you're probably going to start with an existing design in Figma. So here, you can see my team is prototyping a music app we're calling Earworm. Now, let's say we just want to explore how this core player element will feel, right? How the CD is going to spin, how those buttons will feel like to click. Now, historically, prototyping even a simple design like this would have taken a lot of noodles, maybe an engineer, maybe switching to a different tool. But today is not that day. Now, with Figma Make, you can play with your designs just as you created them, all in Figma. All we're going to do is take that core player frame, copy, and paste it into the Make prompt box. And I'm just going to say, please make this CD player interactive. The CD should spin when I play a track. Thank you. Remember to be polite to your large language models. And because we're Figma, we're not just giving the model an image of your design. We're passing the design itself, including all of that structure and metadata. The model can reference the layers in your design, understand what they're for, and iterate and incorporate that knowledge in its generation. OK, and this is a live demo, no stage tricks, and models can be finicky, so wish me luck. Thank you. Now, Make is making a plan, it's reasoning. You can see here that we're using Claude 3.7, and code is starting to stream it. Now, many of you have used tools like this before, and you know we're asking the AI to do a pretty hard thing, and it just needs a minute. So while this runs, let's go take a look at some fun Make examples. All right, let's start with this one. You can see here that Tom's team is testing out a new feature for their cycling app called Trail Journey. In Make, I can actually upload a file, so let me give it this bike ride, and then experience all my data instantaneously, live. Look at that. I can play back my route, and I can even interact with my elevation data. Make turned my design into a living, breathing prototype. Let's look at another example. Here, Lowry, a designer at Maven Clinic, used Make to turn a mobile Figma design into an interactive desktop clinic finder for their users. And this is complete with a real map API. So I can search here in the search bar and actually click around in this map. Now, using this prototype, Lowry was able to reignite a conversation in a single afternoon. All right, and even here at Figma, we're using Make to prototype our own products. So remember that amazing grid demonstration from Giorgio? With a design and a few prompts, Make is able to quickly give us a sense of how that grid visualizer should look and feel. OK, now, prototyping is a very powerful use case in Make. But that's not all it's good for. We're also just excited about the ways that Make can raise the ceiling for the types of things you can create in Figma. You guys ready to see some fun examples? All right, buckle up. In Make, you can manipulate and render complex graphics like these shaders, courtesy of our designer Daniel. And he even threw in some really fun animations. And in Make, you can explore in new dimensions. Check out this amazing 3D tool by our designer Tammy. And if you just bear with me for a second, let's see how good my cursive is. I can write config. All right. OK. And look at that. She's even incorporated a skybox and real materials like glass here and metal. And the next one is a personal favorite of mine. In Make, you can create and step into immersive worlds. So Tammy also created this really fun game where you can actually just wander around a forest, and if they'll challenge me, take on some of these gnomes. Pew, pew, pew. OK, I know this looks simple, but I've actually not won this game a single time. All right, let's look at one more really fun example. Oh my gosh, I'm being attacked. OK, in Make, this is an experimental app by our friend Bruno. He's leveraging a hand tracking technology to manipulate shapes and colors. And because you can publish makes, this means you can also access the hardware of your device and do things like this. Yeah. Very, very cool. And all of these examples are just the tip of the iceberg. All right. Now, earlier, we saw Tom working on that calculator for Kickin'. One of the things we're working on in Make is bringing it into more parts of Figma. And you guessed it, the first place is Figma Sites. All you have to do is jump into this split view, and here you can see Tom's history of prompting with Make. Now, we're so stoked about what this represents. You can freeform design on the canvas, turn it into React code, and then bring it to life with Make. This opens up so many possibilities, and we can't wait to see where you take it in Sites. Now, remember that generation from earlier? Let's take a look. As you can see, this was our original design, and Make translates it pretty much one-to-one. But we know you'd never actually stop here. You'd keep adding things, right? Riffing on it, adding designs, adding functionality. And to give you more creative control, we've actually introduced ways to target your edits to specific parts of the design. So we're introducing the Point and Edit tool, which allows you to directly manipulate things like size, color, and font of elements on the page. And for more complex, thank you. And for more complex and open-ended edits, we also have Point and Prompt, where you can just pass in the specific part of the design and ask the model to only make changes there. So I could say, make the CD spin more 3D. All right, but these are only my edits. And one of the best parts of Make is that it's all in Figma. So the gang's all here. What I would actually want to do is collaborate on this design with my entire team. So as a parting note, let's see how my team would take Earworm. All right. OK, it looks like the gang's all here. Earworm 4.0 has gotten quite a facelift. And it looks like Greta and Noah have even added a real AI DJ experience. Give me a song. We know a lot of you are probably prototyping and designing AI chat experiences, and you can do that in Make. And you can not only rig this up to other models, but you can also rig it up to real data sources. So we can fetch real audio tracks for all of these music tracks right here. Now, my team and I have had a blast building Make, and we hope you all have as much fun using it. We're only just getting started. And so from my team to yours, we can't wait to see all of the amazing things you'll make. And with that, I think I'm going to play myself off. Thank you.
Awesome job, Holly. Incredible demo, Holly. Thank you. So we're super excited to see what y'all make with Figma Make. We also know it has a long way to go, and I'll be the first to tell you that your results may be non-deterministic because AI. Also, we are rapidly improving Make. You'll see changes in days, weeks, so stay tuned, and you'll see quite a lot more coming. Make will be rolling out to everyone on a full seat over the next few weeks. And in the beta period, Make will be free with some usage limits if you're going above and beyond. And when we exit beta, Make will be a paid product. So far this morning, we've shared updates for how you improve, design, build websites and products. But we know that's not all that you use Figma for. Over the years, we've seen you all stretch the platform in so many innovative ways. When we noticed that people were doing brainstorms and using Figma as a space to be together in 2020, we built FigJam. And when we saw that so many of the files in Figma Design were actually slide decks, we built Figma Slides. Building new products for these use cases does two things. First, it helps us keep Figma Design focused on product design. Second, it creates more accessible spaces for you to bring your collaborators in with you. And in the past year, we've noticed something else. You've created millions and millions of marketing assets and branded content, things like social posts, campaigns, even print material in Figma Design. And designing these things in Figma, that's not the hard part. It gets harder when you try to work with people who don't live in Figma all the time, like we do. So we think there can be a better way. And to tell you about one of our new products, please welcome our creative director, Damien, to the stage.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Dylan. Hey, config. I can't hear you. Just kidding. I totally can hear you. Hi, everyone. I'm a designer that never gets told to make the logo bigger. I'm not sure if you saw the config logo outside, but it's ridiculous. It's massive. But it's true, though. Brand builders like myself, we're already in the file. In fact, I am so in the file that I'm often there like 3 times. I'm my own hovering art director. And as an internal creative studio here, oh, sorry, forgot to turn off the slide. As an internal creative studio here in Figma, our brand team creates a lot, and for a lot of teams. And with the sheer volume of requests that come in, we just can't get to everything. We have to prioritize. Plus, many of the requests that we receive are sorry about that, it's embarrassing. First live demo and I get this? OK. We're often making small copy changes or production level tweaks. But we know our collaborators really need the work done, but they tend to get overwhelmed when we just drop them in a Figma file. So this puts us in a weird spot. As weird as this. When we become the production bottleneck, our partners are left to their own devices. And ultimately, that can risk the... Who is... Lauren? Lauren, are you really working during the demo? Where are you? Lauren,
hey.
Are you really working during the keynote right now?
Hi, Damien. Hi, everyone. No, I just know you're so busy. I was just following up on those assets we talked about. I thought we could work on them after the keynote. I didn't mean for you to get the slacks right now.
OK. Well, when do you need them by?
Ideally yesterday?
Oh, classic. Well, I do have a few minutes, and I was about to demo something kind of relevant, but do you want to come up on the stage and maybe we can do this together?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's do it. Everyone, Lauren McCann, our director for Figma EDU. It looks kind of like we planned this. Did we plan this? I think we planned this.
I don't know.
All right.
Awesome.
OK, so if I remember correctly, your request, you were looking to promote a new live stream series?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So our campus leaders are going to be hosting a series of talks across dozens of their campuses, and we need help making assets for them. Also, quick shout out to our amazing campus leaders and all the other students and educators here today. Hi, guys. So yeah, that's what we kind of need help with. OK,
well, we do have some live stream promo assets that you can use. They're templates that, if you see here, we have.
Okay, just to stop you there.
Okay.
I do love the templates that you send us. They always look amazing, but I get nervous I'm going to break them. It might just be faster if you do it for me, you know?
Okay, I hear you, but I was about to introduce a new product that's actually purpose-built for this use case in mind. So it's called Figma Buzz, and let's check it out.
Ooh, okay.
All right, as you can see, Figma Buzz looks very similar to Figma Design, but with a streamlined, more focused UI. It gives you easy access to your shared brand library, so illustrations, perhaps logos, but we can also start from a template.
Okay, I can already tell this is going to be so much easier for me to get into this file than what you normally send me. No offense.
None taken. My files are often a disaster. But let's get started. We have some templates right here. So these are the templates that the team made. You can access them in Buzz. They designed them in Figma Design and then brought them into Buzz.
Okay,
so what channels are you promoting on?
So we want to make this a social-first campaign. So we definitely want to do something for stories.
Okay.
I would love to make something for the main Instagram feed, and let's do LinkedIn too. You know, everyone's all about that thought leadership. So.
All about that thought leadership. Okay. Cool. So now as we have all of the assets in here on the canvas, you can navigate to them pretty simply, and then you can edit on canvas. But if you're more comfortable and you don't want to feel like you're breaking anything, you can just hit the edit content panel here, and this is where you can
I'll
adjust
give
your
it a go.
information.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So let me add the title. I'm going to add in our speaker. And when he's actually giving his talk, and oh look, it even edits the text on a path on the circle. That looks pretty nice.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so now I definitely need to swap out this picture to be Braden, but I only have pictures of all the students in normal color, but I noticed the template tends to be like having filters on it.
Oh yeah, sure. So in the template, it's going to inherit some of the styling there.
Oh, okay.
So if you do drop in the photo, it'll make it black and white automatically.
Perfect.
There we go. Cool. Another awesome thing about this, there are variants attached to this template.
What is a variant, Damien?
Well, variants, even in a template here, you do have some creative control. So variants allow you to swap assets out. So for example, that image in the back there, there are some more options. So you hit swap, yeah, there you go, you found it.
Oh, nice. I can just change out the pattern.
Yep. Do you want to see something else cool?
I would love to.
Okay, cool. Well, if we zoom out here to grid view, we can see our entire campaign. And okay, we only have one photo of Braden. So if we want to change it on all of these other assets, all we need to do is click, hit the multi-edit button, upload image, and there we go.
There we go. Braden's everywhere.
Braden's everywhere.
So this is definitely going to save me time, but I still need to do this for what? 25 events, 3 channels.
75 assets.
Do I have to do these all one by one?
No. We do have a bulk create feature right here on the left panel. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, okay, I'm seeing a CSV upload. Now you're really speaking my language. Okay, as a marketer, I do love my spreadsheets, and I already do have something from my team with all the data for the event. So do I just press open?
Yep, and then you just need to map the info from the spreadsheet to the elements on the design, and there you go.
Okay, I think I saw Tom and Tom do this in their site CMS demo. So see, I was paying attention and working, but.
Okay.
All right, so let me try this out. So I'm gonna match the titles to the title. I'm gonna do name. For name, I'm going to go photo to photo, and then I'll do date to date, and press create. And, oh shit, they look so good, Damien. Oh my gosh. Look at these cuties. You know what?
Look at them all.
This looks so good. I think I'm just gonna go back to my seat and send it to the students.
You're gonna, okay.
Well, they needed it yesterday, like I said,
okay,
so.
Got it, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. That was actually kind of fun. Well, that's Figma Buzz, everyone. Back to you, Dylan.
Thank you, Damien and Lauren. That was a lot of hustle working from the keynote. All right, we're very excited to hear what you think of Figma Buzz. So notes and availability. The beta for Figma Buzz is rolling out today to all users. And when it exits beta, it will be included on the full and dev seats, as well as a content seat, which is new and available later this year. This seat is for your collaborators who contribute content for Buzz, Site CMS, and other products down the road. It will also have access to FigJam and slides. So we hope this makes Figma more accessible to everyone who has need to contribute content to the design process. All right, y'all ready for our last announcement of the day? For our last announcement, we're going to bring it right back to where we started, and that is Figma Design. When we started Figma, one of the first things we worked on was trying to challenge the existing conventions around vector editing. That led us to a bunch of explorations on what we call vector networks. Evan, my co-founder, in particular, really wanted to figure out a different way to do paths. And I'm super proud of where we got to with this. That was also a long time ago. And since then, over the years, we've accumulated some long-standing issue. Anyone here recognize this? I'm so sorry. Whether it's Boolean ops, flattening vector objects, outlining strokes, we know there's a lot to fix. And so we did a complete rewrite of this functionality to improve core vector editing. We're bringing more visual expression into the Figma editor. 22 new features and improvements to be exact. Are you all ready for this? To walk us through all of that, please welcome the instigator of this effort, an engineering leader on our team, and the product lead for this effort, Lauren Budorick.
Hi.
Have a blast.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm an engineer here at Figma. You might be wondering, why is there an engineer on the keynote stage? They usually keep us locked in the back. But I'm here because the work I'm about to share with you is very personal to me. I was a designer briefly before I was an engineer. I was an art major in school, and so I knew how to use creative tools long before I knew how to code. I still have a lot of creative side hobbies on the side. And I've worked at Figma for 7 years now. And in this whole time, I've been very frustrated by all the things that I couldn't do in Figma. I've worked on countless makery projects over the years to hack more expressive tools into Figma. But I work on the core editor team, and we've always been laser focused on meeting the needs of our core product design users. As the editor team, we're constantly working on things like typography features or shipping a better version of auto layout. But design is evolving, tools are evolving, you saw that today, and we felt like while tools are getting more powerful, design is sometimes also getting a little bit flat. Maybe it's time to raise the ceiling on what you can do in Figma, to give users more power to unflatten their designs and to enable more craft. So today, I'm very excited to share with you what has happened to our dev mode toggle, which is that as of today, you can now use this toggle to switch to Figma Draw. OK, so I'll go ahead and toggle to Figma Draw. And you can see right away that there are some obvious visual differences in the UI. We have these big layer previews in the layers panel, some new tools in the toolbar, and also some UI elements that are more optimized for visual design, like sliders. But I'm going to start by talking about some of the improvements we made to vector edit mode. I've done a lot of vector editing in Figma, and I know that it can be pretty limiting at times. So we're going to start with this icon set that Koto is doing for Gostini. And it looks like we're trying to make a bunch of food icons. And this is supposedly a pasta, but it's not quite there yet. So we'll go ahead and select this, hit enter, and now I've selected all these shapes. And you can see in Draw that we have this nice contextual menu here with a bunch of common actions you might want to do, Boolean operations, use this mask, et cetera. But actually today I want to vector edit these, so I'll hit return. And now I'm actually in vector edit mode on all of these shapes at the same time, which is my new best friend. I can now select all these vertices and I can edit them all at the same time, which is pretty powerful. But I actually want to use our new shape builder tool today. So I'll hold Option and click or drag through some shapes that I want to remove, and click and drag through some shapes I want to combine. And that is the shape builder tool. Now, I might also want to do some more precise editing on these vertices. And so historically, I could click to select these, or I could drag a box around them, but that can be kind of imprecise at times. So today, I can also use our new lasso selection tool and select a really nice, precise selection of vertices. I'm going to select these instead and change the corner radius. And now this is looking a lot more like a pasta shape. OK, I'm going to move on to this brand asset here. And I think I want to make this pop by adding sort of this red scalloped edge. So I'm going to bring the circle to the front. And historically, I might do this by duplicating the circle a bunch of times around the perimeter. But that's going to get pretty unwieldy and kind of hard to manage. So instead today, I can add a new radial repeat. Now I can change the gap here. I think something like that would be nice. And change the count. I'm off by a couple. And now I have this repeat that looks really nice around the border. I'll send it to the back, and now I have this scalloped edge. OK, a few of you might have caught something in the Buzz demo that you might not have seen before in Figma, which was perhaps some text on a path. So now I'm going to select this text, cut it, because I don't trust myself to type on stage. Select this path, use the type tool, and if I click here, I can add text to the path. And finally, this vector is looking sort of pretty computery, but Gastini is looking for like more of an old world feel. And so we might achieve with that with some of our new effects. So I'm going to add a new texture effect. And you'll see right away that you can enable all kinds of interesting aesthetics by changing these parameters. And this is sort of a non-destructive effect that I can easily apply to this. So I might go with something more like this. And you can see if I zoom in here, maybe make this kind of smaller. Now this has like a nice sort of roughened effect as if it's been printed on paper. Cool. We're going to move on to this mobile prototype that we're working on for flues. And I'm going to open the inline preview. And I might have a problem with this prototype, which is that the navigation elements here are kind of not standing out against the backdrop as we scroll. And so I might like add some kind of scrim here and make it fixed. And then I might do something like add a background blur, make it really blurry, make that a little bit shorter. And so that's like kind of nice, but it has this sort of sharp edge here that I don't really love. And so now, as of today, I can instead change this to a progressive blur. Pretty exciting. So you can see I can easily change the start and end blur values, and I can move these handles around just like a gradient. I'll go with something like this. And now you can see as I scroll that it sort of lets my navigation elements pop here. And you can use progressive blurs with both layer blurs and background blurs. OK, I'm going to move on to these illustrations that Niles from Koto is working on. And these are looking really good, but they all look very sort of vectory. And so I might see what I can do to make these look a little bit more hand-drawn. So the first thing I'm going to do is try on this watering can to add a new brush stroke. So I'll change the stroke weight here, change the brush options, and you can see I can preview all kinds of different brushes here that we have presets. And I think that looks pretty good. Now I might also do this on the colors. I can open the stroke settings, add maybe some other kind of brushes. I like that one. And now it's looking sort of nice and hand-drawn. Yeah. Now I might also want to draw freehand with the brush tool. And so I'm going to select this brush tool and do the bravest thing I'm doing today by hand drawing on a trackpad on a stage. And I can change my brush settings here up front. I could also use Option and scroll to change the brush weight here and do a little bit of shading here, something like this. Maybe draw some shadows here. And now I think this is looking nice and hand-drawn. Cool. Next, we're going to move on to this paper airplane. And I think this is also looking, obviously, like very sort of sharp and computery. And so I might want to make this look a little bit more pencil drawn. And to do that, I can also add a new dynamic stroke, which is sort of a programmatic way to have these like wiggly strokes. So I can change the frequency values, the wiggle values, it's very wiggly, and the smoothing values, and get something that looks sort of pretty nice and hand-drawn. And maybe I like something like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I might also think that this red is looking like sort of really solid, and so I might want to use a pattern for this instead. Historically, to do this, you might make a circle and then duplicate it 5,000 times. And as an engineer, I have to tell you that every time you do that, your CPU dies a little bit inside. So instead, we built something that is powerful and useful, but also way better for performance, which is new pattern fills. So I can select a pattern fill here, and then select a source from the canvas, and now change my scaling and my spacing values. Change this to a hex pattern. Yeah, I do love pattern fills. And I can also decide now that I don't like this one and change it to maybe this like hatching pattern, make it a little bit smaller and a little bit looser, and I think that looks sort of pretty good. And another thing about using patterns is that I might also now realize this doesn't really match the aesthetic of the dynamic strokes that I've added. And so if I actually update the source layer of this pattern, then all of the patterns will immediately update too. So you can see I changed this stroke to dynamic, and now all my patterns are also dynamic strokes. OK, next we'll move on to this illustration of some gears. And this is sort of in a manga style. It has some really nice sort of stroke variation here that I really like. And I think that this stroke is looking not quite right. It looks a little bit too uniform and too thin. So I might select this, enter vector edit mode, and use the new variable width stroke tool. Now I can change the stroke weight here, also change it over here, maybe also over here. And then I can move these sort of stroke anchors around to give this sort of any kind of aesthetic. Yeah. Now, variable strokes will be rolling out in a month or two, but we were too excited not to show you today. So when they're ready with all kinds of pressure sensitivity and stuff, then we will release them. And finally, this bird illustration is looking a little bit sort of like too flat and vectory, and so I might want to try using that same texture effect that I showed you earlier. So I'll go ahead and add a texture effect, but play with some different values to enable some different aesthetics. So I could like really blow out this radius and the size. I might stick with sort of a smaller size and a relatively large radius. And I think that's looking pretty textured, but still sort of legible as a bird. And then I can also use this clip to shape option to make the texture clip to within the bounds of the path. Let's go. And finally, this beak is looking a little bit askew, and so I might add a rotation origin point by adding option R. And then I can drag this rotation origin here and rotate this around the edge here. Cool. So this is the final illustration set that Niles has come up with, and I think these look pretty good. And another really fun thing about doing this in Figma is that it integrates really well with all the Figma features you have come to know and love. So in this case, Niles has set these up using color variables. And so I can go to the appearance panel, change to dark mode, and all of a sudden these are all dark mode illustrations. We've been running a small closed alpha program with about 100 users for a few months, and I want to share some of the work that they've made in Figma Draw. Now, my team built all these features. I personally built several of these features. I was the engineering and PM lead on this project, and when I see the work that our users have been making, honestly, every time I still say, wait, you can do that in Figma? Now you can. There's supposed to be a slide here. It's going to come up soon. There we go. Yeah, cool. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. And I hope you all enjoy Figma Draw. We cannot wait to see what you do with this new surface. Figma Draw, on availability for Figma Draw, all the new features will be available to everyone today. And yes, that was probably the highest density of features per minute you've ever seen. We just shipped 22 new features, but also we have so much more coming. So stay tuned. All right, to recap, today we launched Grid, Sites, Buzz, Make, Draw. This is the culmination of a lot of hard work and you just saw the tip of the surface. We couldn't cover everything in the keynote. So definitely do check out these deep dives if you want to go and learn everything you can about what we've shipped here, because there's a lot more that we couldn't get into details of. And of course, this would not be possible without the incredible folks on the Figma team. Please give these folks a round of applause. And it goes without saying, it's just a few of the faces of so many people that have contributed to this effort. I feel so grateful to work with the most incredible team. So we doubled our product portfolio today from 4 to 8 products. And together we hope they will enable you to go from idea to product faster than ever. 10 years ago, co-designing in the browser was seen as a radical idea. Today, it's just the norm. If you fast forward another decade, or maybe even like a year or two, what's impossible now, or what seems impossible now, will feel like the new normal. And this future will not be designed by accident. It will be shaped intentionally by all of you. You all have been doing this from day one, whether it's extending what's possible, surprising us with what you create, and even making Figma do things that it was never built to do. This is one of the many things that I love about everybody assembled here and virtually, is that you are wired. You're all wired to go think further, think deeper. You're wired to never be satisfied. You push to make good, great. I cannot wait to see what you make. So after config, when you head back to your teams, your lives, your daily chaos, let's remember that the world needs you in this moment to lead and to push on what is possible. Thank you so much for being here with us as we kick off the first 2 days of config. I hope to meet many of you in person. Please do say hello and have an awesome Config 2025. Thank you.